guess. So yeah, I think we can get started. There's a few people watching on YouTube as well. So hey to those folks. And yeah. So why don't we start by, you guys can use the chat. If you have questions you want to ask, you can use the chat feature to message Kinsey or Bevan, and they're gonna ask questions. At least as a starting point. And we thought it'd be fun. We want to spend a little time talking about kind of where church is at right now and kind of what we've been doing and the plan for where we're going and things like that. But we're also, like all of you probably, we're a little bit talked out about the coronavirus and all that stuff. So we're hoping to kind of get through some of that stuff pretty quickly. And then, not that I mean, keep asking questions if you have them, but if we get through that stuff, then you can ask other stuff, super personal questions or whatever you want to ask as well. And then we can have some fun or just hang out. So that's kind of the plan. Anything else? Did I miss anything, John? Or
you need to enable the chat though. It says it's disabled.
Oh, okay. I shall enable chat. Now you should be able to send messages to those guys.
There we go.
Sorry.
Rookie Zoom move.
Yeah. Whoever starts it has all the power. All the power.
All the power. That's great.
All right.
Well, just real quick, yeah, like John said, we are gonna, Kinsey and I are gonna be asking questions and stuff. So get that chat out. If you have questions, just message us through the app or whatever. If you can't figure that out, text is okay. So let's get started. So question and answer. How is this different than intro first? John Thorngate, if we've already been through intro, how is this different?
Oh, is this different than that?
Yeah. Are we going to learn the same things as intro, or is this
different?
Oh,
no. Yeah, no, we're going to talk more kind of specifically about what's going on with church right now because of the biggest difference is the pandemic between this and intro would be the biggest difference is the pandemic. Yeah. So a little bit about church right now. And then from there, it's really just a chance to hang out. So anything you guys want to ask at that point too, I think, if we've gotten through the questions about kind of more the business side of things, I think people can just ask questions themselves or whatever, and that'll be fine too. But let's yeah, that's kind of what the point of this first part is more specific to right now.
Okay, well, let's start with what are we doing to help people that are in need right now?
John, you want me to handle that one?
Hey, man.
All right. Well, yeah, so you guys, if you were there Sunday, you heard we're starting that fund. We've had a number of people just say that they've got some extra money and they want to help to anybody in need. So start the fund right now. We haven't heard of a lot of personal needs come up yet, but we kind of expect them to as this thing lingers on and as people start to feel the effects more of the economy being what it is and losing their jobs, et cetera, and stuff like that. So, so far haven't heard a ton, but those will likely come in pretty soon as this thing keeps going. And Tia can probably share better than I can even, but their Love Inc. has had to really diminish their staff. So they have had a lot of opportunities to volunteer and serve, particularly unloading food trucks and stuff like that. And so, yeah, Tia has been doing a great job with that. And people have been sewing masks for one another. Big thing is kind of just checking in with everybody and making sure nobody is too lonely at this point and making sure everyone has someone that they're talking to on a regular basis. That's probably the biggest thing. John, anything else?
Yeah, the other thing we did is there's a campaign going on called Churches Helping Churches, and that's basically churches who are in a pretty good financial spot donating to a fund that's helping churches in lower income areas that are getting hit a lot harder. Lower income areas are getting hit a lot harder, both in terms of churches, their funding isn't as stable, their jobs aren't as stable, and their health isn't as stable. They get more affected more by by things like this, and then others as well. So we gave $1,000 to that as well. So that's a few things that we've been doing to just kind of try to help and do our part. So yeah, that Churches Helping Churches Fund is through the AND campaign, which is a great thing that's going on. And so that was one other thing we did as well.
Okay, I have a follow-up. Are the funds specifically for church attenders or the community at large? And if community at large, is the funding available being publicized?
We won't probably publicize it because it won't be that level of money that we need to publicize it. I think we'll be able to take it case by case and help a few people. We'll start with people from church and then and look at specific needs in the community that come to our attention as well.
Cool. Anything else out there about kind of like the general state of our church? Like is there anything changing that we probably don't know that we're moving toward? Like what is our church going to look like in the future now that Zoom church is possible? Are we going to lean that direction or anything like that coming in the future? What's changing in church that is going to go forward?
Zoom church forever. No.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's here to stay. Guys. We love it so much.
we bought a disco ball and we're doing some like stage lighting and stuff. It's going to be crazy. Yeah, no. So in terms of, we want to get back to regular church as soon as possible. And we're kind of putting a plan together for what that'll look like as more and more people are coming back. So basically once they like start adding some more numbers, once they say like 50 people can gather together, we're working on putting that plan together. And in terms of like some things that we're learning, like Zoom calls like this can be really, really helpful for some of those meetings that we usually would have in person at church or like within small groups, circles, sorry, oh my gosh.
My goodness.
Dude, fire me right now. So some of those meetings, some of those communication methods for, circles communicating together or circle leaders communicating, will likely do some more Zoom stuff or some more communication. That's just easier when we don't have to, figure out solutions for the kids and all that stuff. So those things will likely be a little more streamlined, a little more efficient, hopefully, when we come out of this. But at the end of the day, we're all very excited to get back to seeing one another in person.
Yeah, we did talk a little bit about the first step being, if we're able to do gatherings of 50, it might be doing, rather than doing a full service for 50 people and trying to do like 6 of them in a day or whatever, we might start by having shorter blocks of time that's just for worship. So people can come in and worship for 30 minutes and there's no chairs or anything, and come in groups of 50. And then but we would continue to do like the learning portion, the teaching in like a home group or circle or whatever. And that way we could still gather together and worship, which is probably the single thing that I think gets lost in translation most, the way we're doing things right now, and would be the easiest thing to move back first and be able to do in a way that would be manageable. So that would probably be our first step. At least that's kind of how we're leaning right now, and then go from there. Things like kids ministry will lag behind for sure.
How are we keeping up with people in the meantime?
So primarily circles. So circle leaders connecting with people, or we've kind of divvied up among the staff, otherwise people who aren't in circles, and we've all been just touching base with them on a regular basis and saying, how you guys doing? And phone calls, Zoom, whatever. Obviously it's best to talk to people face to face through Zoom or FaceTime, but as much as we can, we just touch base and check in with just about everybody. This week I went through the Breeze again, our church registry system, and just double check to make sure that nobody's falling through the cracks, and that we didn't miss out on connecting with anybody. I think that's important. Just hey, how's it going? It means a lot to people.
Yeah, just a quick note on that. Just so you guys are aware, we talk about it a lot, but it's I'm not sure if it's common knowledge or not, but the impact profile came out very conveniently timed before this, when people reached out and got all, we got a lot of new names, a lot of new, like, oh, I really enjoy doing things like making masks, etc. Was all, public, made public to people like Tia, and Tia gathering all the information and compiling that. So it's a super well-timed, call it luck or whatever. God's providence on the timing of that, but that was pretty cool. So just know that that's one way we're reaching out to people, is because they took the first step of reaching out to us, and now we know who they are and how to get a hold of them and stuff. So Tia did a great job on that too.
So are people still being added to circles? And if they wanted to, would they have to go through the same process as before?
So we've been talking about most of, even before any of this started, we've been in a spot where we need to make some shifts with circles, because our circles are getting really full. So we need some new circles, and we need to split some circles, and we need to make some changes there, probably this fall. But in the meantime, one of the things we've been thinking about is if during this time some new groups might form, especially during that time when we were actually thinking that they might form. There was that window where we were allowed to meet in small groups, and then that went away. And so our hope is that once we get to the next tier or whatever, that people can meet again in a group, maybe for home, like for house church on Sunday mornings or whatever, that some new groups will form out of that as kind of a starting point. And at that point, if we can gather in homes and in groups of, closer to like 20 people or whatever, when you factor in kids, we might think about, we probably would stop doing Zoom church at that point as well, and try to push people to be able to engage with people in person that way again, when the time comes, and when we kind of are cleared to do that. So we're hoping some new groups will form kind of out of this that way. And then we do in the near future, we need to be thinking about how do we create space in our existing groups as well. So that's kind of something that we're working on right now too.
Yeah, just before this started, we had one new group just get started. So like the communication intro emails just went out like a couple weeks before all of this. So poor timing, but they've been connecting and stuff in spite of it. So that's been good. And yeah, that's just an example of another group that will hopefully start meeting in person once starts to go back a little bit.
Okay, so to clarify that, if someone wanted to join a circle today or tomorrow, would they be allowed to just pick anyone, or what would they need to do?
They would talk to us, and we would try to get them hooked up with one of the groups that has the ability to add people right now. We have a couple of them that do. We would try to help them find a good fit.
Perfect. Who is checking in on you, John and John? How are you guys doing? And are you feeling extra stressed right now with all the church changes?
Well, yes. I just had phone call, or was it FaceTime video chat with Chuck today. So yeah, it's cool to just check in with him. That just reminds me of, normalcy, I guess. And yeah, he calls and checks in on me once in a while. And our conversations are just really life-giving, and I love talking with that guy. So yeah, him, and I still talk to my dad regularly and stuff like that. But yeah, last week was a little rough on me. After Easter, I was kind of bummed out, and I don't know if it was weather had stuff to do with it, and I just kind of quit working out. And when I quit working out, I get really lazy. So yeah, but back at it this week and kind of rebounded pretty quickly. So feeling good now.
Yeah, I'm doing okay. The first week or so of this, Leslie would attest to this if she was on the call, which she's not because she's a bad member of the church, but she would attest to how insane I was the first week of everything and the changes. I am such a long-term thinker and I felt so paralyzed because there was nothing stayed true for more than like a day. So there was no way to do what I like to do, which is project and plan. And sorry, my computer knocked it over. But so for the first week I was a little insane, and definitely was tweaking and going through a little bit of a identity crisis, or as I started calling it, a COVID identity crisis. You guys are welcome for that.
Mm.
But came out of that about a week in and kind of was able to accept like kind of the new, well, not the new normal, but accept that I just needed to live in the moment and be present a little more, and plan for shorter lengths of time and enjoy time with my kids, and do a ton of video calls with people and hang out with people. I love people so much. That part of it is really hard for me. I'm so energized when I'm with people, and I miss people. I miss you guys a ton. I really do. So yeah, but people have been checking in on me. I've got a pretty good support system built in. I usually spend a lot of time with my dad, and it's weird. The only time my parents are like not seeing people very much, they're pretty like in their house. The only time I saw my dad is I went to the post office and he happened to be there, and we were like both wearing masks, and I was like, oh hey, and he was like, hey, but it was weird, it's funny. Anyway, that's the only time I like really hung out with him this whole time. So it was at the post office, and there were like 8 other people listening to our conversation. I was like, geez, people, but so anyway, I'm doing good.
Okay. What percentage has offerings decreased since the COVID-19 stay-at-home went into effect?
I don't have an exact percentage for you. We do most of our tracking year over year, not week over week, because the way ours work, it just doesn't really work that way, because so much of our giving is online and it's not based on Sundays as much. I would say my ballpark estimate is it's probably down about 10%, maybe a little bit more, which is a lot better than a lot of churches. And the way we budget, we plan to give away 20% this year. So we might not be able to give away as much as we want, but we're certainly going to probably be okay if we stay in that range. So that's the short version. Happy to send, of course, as usual, spreadsheets or whatever to people. Anna, am I wrong about anything I just said?
No, I think that's probably right. And again, I haven't looked at it like the exact percentage either, but what I've noticed is there's been at least like probably close to 10 people that have never given before that have given over the last couple of weeks.
That's awesome.
That's cool.
Anna's the only person who really knows who gives what. I love not having that information, so I get reports, but.
Okay. Would it be advantageous to continue some form of live viewing of our Sunday services even after stay-at-home is over?
We haven't talked about it a ton. So like when we first start going back, and they start allowing like 50, 100, whatever, then we will, in some capacity, because we know that some people just are still going to be concerned, whether they're immunocompromised or whatever. They're not going to want to come out into any form of group for a while. So for sure we will, when we first come back. That one, I think we may kick the can down the road, but most likely, my first gut reaction, John, you can answer this if you don't agree, that's wrong. My gut would say no, because we have, as a church, we have valued so much meeting together and being there in person, like incarnate, real relationships with people. We've always stressed that as a significant value of our church. So we have so far steered away from the online streaming, which has been around since we planted the church, and we could have done it. Well, we couldn't have done it in the theater because the lighting was terrible, but like, we could have done it since we moved into the building. But we've steered away from that for that reason. just because we really value people being there, and we think that's awesome for church.
It's also doing live stream well versus like this, right? Doing live stream well is pretty resource intensive and not the way that I like spending money necessarily. So that's in addition to what John said. I also agree with what he said, but so I would probably lean no, but I could be convinced that, you know, if people thought it was important. But my gut right now is I wouldn't be like super stoked to do it.
Okay, I do have a note that kids resources will continue to be available until kids ministry can resume in person. So that will continue to be online, so everyone knows.
Thanks, Jamie. You're the best. Other questions?
Do we all have access to each other's contact info to send cards of encouragement, texts, etc.?
I don't think we have anything set up as like a directory style thing that people can access. But if you have a specific, if you're in our, like, if we know you and you're asking for people's contact info, we pretty much know the people who have requested that things not get shared or whatever. And so we could certainly send, if you wanted to like mail cards to people, things like that. And that might be a good thing for us to do, to like get some sort of like opt-in, opt-out from people on that, so that they can indicate like, yeah, you can share this with other people that are from church or whatever, so that people know. And that way, if someone asks like, hey, I want to send everyone from church a postcard, you know, we know like the list that they can get and things like that. That's a good idea. So write that down,
Yeah,
kids.
We could look into that again through our previous. We just switched software systems for tracking and attendance and people. So with our previous system, we were able to do a directory of sorts that people would opt into. So we could look into that. I'm sure Breeze has something on that. So.
Yep. It's a good idea.
Do we have any, in additional to the face masks and stuff, do we have any other plans for community outreach?
Tia, I'm unmuting you. Go ahead.
Food drive planned for May, but we're going to hold off on that given the current orders for Safer at Home. And we will reschedule that for later. So for now, the volunteering at Love Inc. and the face mask making are the two main things that we've been spending our time on.
Yeah, we've also been talking about opening a kissing booth at Chocolate Fest. But
Smart. Mute that guy. Yeah, it's difficult to do outreach when we're in a weird time when there's been a really high moral value placed on staying home and doing nothing and watching Netflix. So that's difficult, you know, that's difficult to navigate as a church that likes to get out and do stuff when there's trouble. That's not really what a large group of people want us to be doing right now. So we have to navigate that stuff graciously, and yeah, we'd love to do more. And we probably, as things starting to loosen up, we will have more opportunities as well.
It's not, I mean, it's good to know that in the community, I've gotten to like go to the nursing homes and drop off masks and know that it's been very welcomed and people enjoy knowing that they're thought of. I mean, every time I talk to somebody at a nursing home and they're like, man, us? Yeah, anytime, bring them over. So that's been really fun. Or just, you know, for me, it's been an opportunity with my neighbors who I had offered face masks to, and at first were like, oh no, we're good. And then contacted me later. And I know I'm not the only one. I've heard from other people sewing that this has happened. It's like, so yeah, do you still have those? So if you know anybody that needs them, you know, your neighbors, or please, you know, let me know, and we'll get you face masks.
Cool, Tia. You got a big group of influencers here in this chat. Are there any needs that like Love Inc. or anything like that aren't met that you still have needs for?
There's more need for volunteers on Monday and Wednesday mornings. So
What's that look like practically?
So practically what it looks like on Mondays is showing up at 9 and you're in a warehouse and you can wear gloves and a mask and you're unloading boxes. Like you don't have to do heavy lifting. They forklift the pallet in and we cut open the boxes, and sometimes we're sorting cereal and pasta and whatever's in the box. Sometimes it's all the same and we're putting it into crates so that it's easily stored. On Wednesdays, the food pantry is actually divided into a warehouse and like a store. And on Wednesdays, we're stocking the store so that when clients come, normally clients would come through the store and shop for themselves. But right now with COVID, they can only drive their car up. So volunteers are shopping for them, going through the store and filling a cart with specific things. So we have needs on both of those. Stocking shelves in the store and unloading pallets. There are women that volunteer who are using a walker so anybody can volunteer. I mean, don't think about that I have to be, lifting a pallet of, pork loins or something. It's anybody can volunteer, and there's always something somebody can do. So if you know people that are available, I did have somebody offer who would like to volunteer, but has kids at home. So if you know anybody else that has kids at home that would like to volunteer, actually Amy volunteered to babysit kids so that other people can volunteer at Love Inc. on Monday and Wednesday mornings. So spread the word that if what's keeping you from volunteering is daycare or childcare, we can solve that problem too.
Super cool. You guys can keep your questions coming all the time. We're happy to answer all the questions tonight. We did have a couple questions like about relating to the Badger bounce back. If we come back, is like outdoor an option to get more people there? Can we do like an amphitheater of sorts, or is that outdoor church or anything like that?
I don't know what will be allowed with that stuff. Those are the sorts of things that I don't, the new John 2.0 doesn't think that far ahead with things like that, because who knows what's a lot can change in a month. And so I can tell you that church for the next 2 weeks is going to be Zoom calls, and it's going to be great. And then that's it. So we would certainly be open to trying that, of course, if that's what makes the most sense at any given time. But yeah, we haven't really, I don't know what'll be allowed at what time. So
we just got those nice speakers, and Reinemann's a pretty big parking lot. I think we could make some magic happen there.
We talked today. I like the idea of having 50 people for worship only. And just to be able to get one more person in, we were going to put Tim at the front door as security while playing bass. I like that idea a lot. So there's people outside like knocking, and he's just like, you can't come in. You can't come. That idea I like.
Someone decides to break that rule and try to run past Tim, though, he's in trouble.
Yeah.
He's really just throw off the rhythm.
He'll figure it out. Tim's two favorite things are playing bass and saying no to people. So okay.
It's very good. Kinsey, got anything?
Nothing else on the current situation. I have a few other questions if we're ready to move on to part 2.
Is there anything else on church right now before we move on to part 2, which is just open it up to anything anyone wants to ask? Oh, what we should tell them, John. One other thing is we are trying to put together a conference, a digital conference in the month of May, to get some speakers to come and talk on like different topics. And we just started talking about it, and we're hoping to get some things lined up soon. But the basic idea is to like cover like really tough topics that are sometimes hard for church people to talk about, and then get people who know that topic really well to come and do like a video call, and try to do like one a night for 2 weeks. We're like kind of shooting kind of big with it, but we're pretty excited about it because there's some people that it would be hard to get to ever come to our church. Right now it's pretty easy to get them to hop on their computer for an hour. So we're trying to take advantage of that and get some good content for the month of May. That's really exciting to us, and we'll have more information about that soon. Things like, hopefully we're hoping for like the Holy Spirit, politics, hell, like topics that are pretty interesting and sometimes controversial and should be fun. So
yeah, it's going to be great. So, and they are surprisingly available right now and cheap. So that's what we're kind of leaning on.
They're like any date. I'm a traveling speaker for a living. So any day.
Exactly. We send them like 2 weeks and they're like, I'm available all those days. Like,
yeah.
Pretty well known. Great.
Kind of a handy little market inefficiency we discovered. So we're gonna milk it for what it's worth here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right. Are we ready?
Let's do it.
Oh, so those dates will be starting May 11th. So that week, and then the next week, May 18th.
Mhm.
So clear your schedules. Those evenings, everybody. After 8, so 7:30. Sorry.
Or watch it on YouTube after if you can.
Yeah.
All right. How distracted have you been with The Last Dance dropping on ESPN this last week?
Oh, great question. We talked about it today.
We did. So yeah, Savannah and I have been very interested in that. My biggest distraction was, how am I going to get to watch this? Because I don't want to pay for a TV just for one show, and it's on ESPN. So that's been my distraction. But yeah, I've been thoroughly enjoying it. The first 2 episodes are fantastic. Brought me back to the good old days of the Bulls basketball, and I got all the dirt behind the scenes on Jerry Krause that I never knew or cared about because I was like 10 years old. But now it's fascinating information.
I haven't watched it. I might not. I don't know. I'm present. Future. I never look back.
Yeah, really quick, does anybody want to explain to Anna that there's a thing about Michael Jordan and the Bulls happening? And it's about
Anna, Michael Jordan was actually pretty famous guy, right? And
I know who Michael Jordan is.
Yeah.
The end.
Played basketball, Anna.
Yeah.
They did the last one on Scottie Pippen, and I'm very, very anxious to watch the Dennis Rodman one. Oh, when they highlight Rodman, that's going to be a crazy episode.
It's going to be tough. But enough Bulls talk.
Sounds inflammatory when you say it like that.
Next question. How devastated are you that the Bucks season might be over?
Bummer. Yeah, the Bucks were very good this year. If you guys don't know, I'm a huge Bucks fan, and they might have won the championship, and it's okay. But that's that.
Okay, what's something you're surprisingly bad at?
Just anything that we're surprisingly bad at.
Yes.
I know mine. For sure, I know mine. It's so easy. So I am anything that is like requires like fine finger dexterity. I am unbelievably bad at. And then people are always like, but you play guitar and stuff and whatever. But like, if you say like, my nightmare is my kids being like, hey, Dad, can you tie this balloon? And I'm like, no, I literally can't. I'm so bad at anything like that. It's embarrassing, but it is what it is. So that's my number one.
Also,
I'll give your kids melt beads for Christmas, and you'll love that.
Do it. We have them. They're terrible. I hate them.
I learned last week trivia. Apparently Bevan is very good at trivia. Yeah, so that's it.
There.
That's very good. Actually, that's very true. If you guys don't know that about John Thorngate, oftentimes like we roast coffee together, and like one of the tricks is you have to light a lighter, and he can't do it. He cannot light a lighter.
Yeah, do it.
It's ridiculous. So that's pretty cool. So other fun questions. What do you guys? What do you like? What's your go-to meal during quarantine? What are you doing right now?
I've been drinking a lot of what I call a quarantini, and that's basically it's just LaCroix. It's just LaCroix. It's not a. I've been crushing LaCroix though, and I ate 5 handfuls of chocolate chips today.
Mm,
That's what I ate today.
semi-sweet or?
Semi-sweet morsels. Yeah, correct.
Yeah. Oh, dangerous.
Mark?
Ours is pizza, I think. So our kids have a dairy allergy, so we haven't like actually had pizza for a very long time. And then we ordered an Antioch Pizza Company pizza, one of the big ones, which is just like, it's like Chicago deep dish pizza. This thing is just loaded with cheese. And we've been eating way too much pizza over the last few weeks. And yeah, just kind of decided I'm letting myself go. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, all the Zoom calls are from here up, so it's totally fine. Yeah.
You guys
Kidding.
don't, yeah.
What phrases are you getting really sick of hearing?
My number one right now that I'm tired of hearing is the church is not a building, which is true. It's actually a really good phrase, but it's just getting said so much right now. I actually saw a really funny tweet the other day that was just like, it's just that it was a pastor. I follow a lot of pastors on Twitter, and he was like, where are all these people who think the church is a building? There's a lot of people telling them that it's not, but I haven't found any of them yet, like that actually think it is one. So that's one that like, okay, guys, yes, you're right, but we can be done talking about it now. That's probably my number one.
Mm.
I don't know. Probably just like everything is going to be different forever. Like any phrases along those lines. And like, we don't know what 2 weeks is going to look like. Let's not project 3 years, 5 years. Like, calm down with those dramatic projections. I don't know. Everybody's saying it though, so maybe not.
That's very cool. What so along the same line of questioning, like what does the church is not a building, but now that there is no building, what does a pastor do all week long?
Oh, sure. Yeah. Yeah, that's awkward. Not a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah,
right.
we work 4 hours a week, and now, yeah. So I've spent the better part of the last few days thinking through. Well, first of all, a lot of Zoom calls, a lot of Zoom calls, and then working on that conference is kind of the new thing we're working on. Spending some time with different staff people, kind of taking the opportunity to redo some system stuff, make some shifts that way. Even around the building, getting some things done right now that there are some opportunities to do right now. So that would probably be the main thing is, so there's things that right now gives us the opportunity to do. And then there's probably spending as much time with people as I did before. It's just all on Zoom now. And then, yeah, trying to make plans as best we can for things that are coming up for church every week and for groups and for other meetings and things like that. And then for the conference is kind of the newest thing. So at the beginning, and the staff can attest to this, I worked more than any other week that I can remember, except for like the first couple of years of the church plant for the first week or two, but I was also an insane person. And then now I'm back to like pretty normal work schedule. So
yeah, mine didn't change a ton. Like I'm still writing the devotional. I'm still doing Sunday sermons and like counseling, meeting with people on Zoom, all of that kind of stuff. And calling more people just to, check in, say hi, see how you're doing. And on top of that, I have a kid who just can't figure out how to get his Phi-Ed lesson up on his computer. So then I got to go downstairs and help him figure out how to click a link, which is difficult. But he's 7, so I understand.
Another question for you, John Adams. If you had to vote one person in your family for the prettiest blue eyes, who would you pick?
I know where that question came from. I'm looking at you where you are on my screen, but that doesn't help. All right, I'll concede. It's my brother. my brother. Like in high school, when he was living at home, we would always have these. We had so many like moments where we were just like, it's one that I'm thinking of. We're checking out at a Dollar Video. Anybody?
Oh.
Yeah. So we were checking out there, and like we're both just standing there talking to the person behind the counter, and she looked at us and she was like, looked at my brother and was like, "You have the most beautiful blue eyes." And I'm standing right next to him. I'm like, "Hey, what about what? My eyes?" And she didn't even notice. She was just mesmerized by DJ's eyes.
They're good eyes. TJ has good, nice blue eyes. I'll say
I've seen them. They're nice. Yeah.
Next question, though.
Next question. So last couple like icebreaker type questions. What are you hating about the quarantine? More specifically, like, what's your least favorite game you've had to play with your kids?
I mean, mine's always soccer. Quarantine, no quarantine. I love soccer, so I'm playing soccer with him a lot more now, and I hate it.
The game that I'm playing with my kids a lot is the game where they help me with projects I'm working on, and it is easily my least favorite game. So that's been fun.
Very good.
Okay, so I have what's something about your wife that most people don't know?
That's dangerous. Very dangerous.
Doesn't have to be. You get to answer.
Doesn't have to. I know, right? Just trying to get me in trouble with her by oversharing, aren't you?
So I'll say that Leslie is with me, and if you know her pretty well, you've seen at some point, she is like very, very goofy, and that's something that most people don't know about her. She's insanely goofy. Like I can't get her to stop being goofy with me at certain times, but I'm like, I just need you to chill right now, and she's just like why? And she's poking me or something. Like she's insane, and that's something that people mostly don't know about her, but she's very funny. I like it a lot. I'm a big fan. Honestly.
So
I don't know if people don't know this about her. I think if you know Savannah, you know she is, but she's incredibly smart. She's smarter than me, like for sure. In college, just about whenever we had a class together, every test that we would take, we would compete with each other. We're a little bit competitive, which I'm sure you've noticed. We would compete, and every time, like she would beat me by like 1-2 points. So like our abnormal psych class that we took together, I got my test back first, and it was like my final exam. I got a 98. So I looked at her and I was like, "You're going down." That's basically, I told her. She got 100. I was so pissed. It was unbelievable. But she's incredibly smart.
That's awesome. What's something you are good at? Like, here's the vindication round. Like, so you're terrible at lighters and soccer, but what are you good at? Like, what do you get to hone right now in this quarantine stuff? I'll give you cookies. Just I had to deliver something, and I stole some cookies, and whoever made those at John Thorngate's house, they did a great job. Sorry for eating all your cookies.
I don't know what just happened, but it's something that I am very good at. Actually, I'd say the thing I'm probably best at in the whole world is looking at something and telling you, like, eyeballing a measurement, saying that doorway is 38 inches wide. It's not a standard door or something like that. I don't know why. I'm really good at eyeballing measurements. It's not the most useful thing to be the thing I'm best at, but I would say it's probably my single. If I'm in the top 1% at anything in the world, it's eyeballing measurements. That's my number one.
I'm getting in quarantine. I'm getting pretty good at NBA 2K.
Nice.
Because I needed my sports fix, so I was so grieving the loss of March Madness and the NBA playoffs that I started playing NBA 2K. So there's that.
Okay. What's something you're excited about on a personal level right now?
So like not church related stuff, but
Correct.
the personal level idea.
For me, my number one is we have as you all probably know, a 16-year-old foster daughter, and she is a very social person. And before quarantine, her life was school, work, and hang out with friends until 9 p.m. anytime we'd let her on a school night, later on weekends. And right now she is stuck with us, and we just love hanging out with her so much. She's great with our kids. It's been awesome spending more time with her, and that's got me really excited right now because they've been bonding a lot more. And she's always been great with them, but it's like it's gone to a new level during this time, and that's been maybe my favorite thing about it. So,
What was the question again?
What's something you're excited about on a personal level?
I think like Shiloh and Ellie's relationship has been really growing in this time, and they started out fighting all the time, but now they kind of just like play together in the basement, and we hear them just like giggling like crazy, and who knows what they're doing down there, but we go check. But they're just getting along really well, and they are we've had like a lot of really like formative, like good conversations with them in this time. And like through Easter, we've had a lot of good conversations through the lessons from Sunday. Like we watch the videos, then we talk, and they're getting it. Like they're still growing in their faith, which has been really encouraging. And except for when we caught them arguing about which one was more humble after the humble lesson. You're like, guys, you really missed the point. But it's Ellie. It was Ellie for sure.
That's awesome, you guys. We're coming up just about an hour here. So if you guys have any last questions, get them in really quick. We don't have to stop, but it's been an hour. So a couple last questions. Is there any messages, like a little bit more serious, any messages you want to make sure that we're not losing through all this stuff? Like, any of our core values that you're worried about us losing, and how can we achieve them?
Well, I think the one that I preached on Sunday, I don't know, is that preaching? I don't know what this is anymore, but teaching, sorry. The one that we did on Sunday, the unity one, I think was one that, that's the first one that came to mind when I started, thinking about what do we not want to lose in this time, or when we come back from this, is like just our bond as people together, because when we're not seeing each other face to face, I think we can lose those pretty quickly. And I don't want to rehash the whole sermon, but that's one of my main concerns, is us just growing further and further apart from one another as this continues to linger on. So like the incarnate relationships, the values of us being together, and just being in relationship with people, and not just isolating and getting so comfortable, or like getting used to, every night now we just like sit on the couch and do Netflix, and so now when we start getting back to normal life and there's more opportunities for like meeting and relationship, like we've fallen into this other rhythm, and now it's going to be harder to come back, I think. So that's part of it. That's one of my main values that I want us to keep as we come through, is just relationships and unity.
Yeah, I think in the same vein, I think the thing I've been thinking about is when everyone has a certain amount of insecurity about how they're being perceived right now. If I make this decision, how will that person think about it? And I think our instinct is to, it's been a little different lately since everyone kind of has the same rules. But if I say, hey, do you want to come over to my house for church on Sunday, or whatever, and they say no, we're not going to do that because of social distancing or whatever, you feel the instinct that we have is we feel like they're judging us, And so then our instinct is to actually flip the judgment back on them. And like that, and that it just kind of creates this toxic environment. And I think my number one hope is that we'll come out of this with stronger relationships, because we've been able to be gracious with each other through this time, and people are making decisions that for their family that we hopefully agree with, or whether we agree with them or not, we can hopefully understand with and relate with and have grace for. It's, in our head, we can make the stakes seem really, really high. And then from that place, you can kind of have condemnation in your heart towards somebody, or you can turn around your own security and judge someone else and as kind of a way of protecting your own heart, and these different things that we do. And so I'm hoping that we'll have some growth in that, and self-awareness of seeing what am I doing and why am I thinking about that person that way, and why do I assume they're thinking this way about me even though I haven't even talked to them, things like that. I think there's a lot of opportunity for growth in that area right now, and something that I think we're going to have to keep reminding ourselves of for a long time to come here.
I have another fun question, quick. Who or what always makes you laugh?
That would be my son. You want to go?
Go ahead, John.
That would be my son Shiloh. Lately, we have like at dinner. So we call him Mr. Chuckles. I took a video of this, and I should probably I don't know. I should share it. But he just like starts laughing, and he can't stop laughing, and it's hilarious. Like, he's the best like buddy to just like hang out with, because he just laughs all the time. So he just starts laughing, looks at me, I start laughing, and we just laugh back and forth. And Savannah and Ellie look at each other like, you guys are insane. But it's really fun, and he's hilarious. He's a fun little dude.
So most of you guys probably know that Seth Barr was my college roommate, and I hesitate to do this with him on the call because it's gonna give him a lot of confidence that he doesn't need. But I can't look at him without laughing. To me, and most people don't agree with me, and I don't care. To me, funniest person in the world. And anytime most of our relationship is him calling me on his commute home from work, and we talk, and it's a complete waste of time, but it's super life-giving, and yeah, he's so freaking funny to me. But again, a lot of people don't get it. They're like not into it at all, and that's fine. And not into him, more into like our thing, not specifically him. But I wasn't trying to throw under the bus. It's his fault. It is his fault. I'll say it. It's his fault. I think he's wicked funny.
Yeah, we did have an anonymous question come through. When was the last time you FaceTimed him? Yeah.
Like, when was the last time I FaceTimed Tim?
No, him, Seth.
Yeah, yeah. I tried FaceTiming him the other day because my family was out for a walk, and DJ was looking at her phone, and she walked into a pole. And I immediately tried FaceTiming Seth, and he didn't answer. So that was the last time I tried. Seth's always given DJ crap about being on her phone, and she walked into a pole because she was on her phone, and I was like, I'm calling Seth right now, but he didn't answer.
Awesome. We had a really good question come through. How can we support you guys? What do you need? How can we support you two primarily, or the mission as a whole?
I'd say just keep checking in on people, keep checking in on each other. I take this time to grow deeper in your faith, and pray for us, pray for the church. Those things are all great, but yeah, so keep checking in on people. So like the encouraging part of all of this to me has been just how the church has stayed in touch, and how people have reached out, and like in this weird time where like the way you can love people is to stay away from them, but talk to them. So I've been very encouraged, like the stories that I've heard. Most people are doing this already, but yeah, it's comforting. It really sets my mind at ease, and I can think like, I know everybody's being connected with, and everybody is being talked to, that relationships are still happening. So thanks for that, guys.
Yeah, I'd say if like I'm I'm talking to a lot of people. I'm doing a lot of calls and things like that right now, but I'm initiating almost all of those. And if someone wants to like hang out with me or me and Leslie and wants to like reach out to us, so that I know that I'm not, I'll hang out with anybody. I really will. I like people so much. And that way I know I didn't force it on you. Like it's not just another person that's obligated to hop on because I asked them to. I always appreciate that. So.
Very cool. We just had one last question come through. Are we still doing prayer at 8:30? Are we still praying as a church?
I know some people still are. We stopped announcing it and reminding people to. We might pick that up again soon. We didn't want it to turn into like a text that people got used to ignoring every day. So we took a break from reminding people via text and things like that for a little bit. We might bring it back at some point.
Everybody loves a comeback, as you know from the bull story that's happening right now. But we're not there yet.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that excellent callback. That was really good.
You got it.
Nice reference. I appreciate the attempt, Evan.
Thanks. I love sports.
Thank you guys for hanging out. Anything else before we go?
I'm out of questions.
Same.
You guys are the best.
Good. Thanks, guys.
Thanks. Have a great night.
Miss you. I love you.
Take
See you
care.
See you soon.
See you soon.